Hi, I'm Shawn Noonan.
And I'm Helena Noonan.
And welcome to American Dream TV, Orange County. We're very excited because we're sitting down with Tom Ferry today, who's the CEO of the Tom Ferry organization. He's a world-renowned speaker, educator, trainer, and author of 2 books. He's actually our real estate coach as well. Tom has some very unique insight into this industry because he coaches tens of thousands of agents, not only here in the United States, but all over the world. And we're excited to sit down with him today to get his unique perspective on some of the things that are taking place in real estate.
Tom, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to go straight to the question. Well, our industry has seen a lot of interruptions these days. New technology emerging every week, Wall Street jumping in, companies going public. So why do you think this is happening right now?
Well, first of all, I don't really believe that there's a lot of disruption happening. I think that when you look at the data around the people that are buying and selling real estate from the call it early 20s to late 30s and 40s, they grew up in an environment where this is the solution. This is the tool. So I believe we're seeing more and more automation that's making home buying and selling from the search to close easier and easier. And when you look at the addressable market, we're calling it, say, 17% of the GDP of the US is all things housing. That's an enormous opportunity. So everyone's going to go after it. The thing that I want to stress to the people that are watching this, being so close to this industry for the last 3 decades, being on the forefront of many of the bigger technology companies, the new models, the new brokerages, what has always encouraged me as we look at what I would call the industrialization of the real estate transaction, what has proven out is the real estate professional, that hyper local expert, will always be the guide, right? We all love and use our apps, and it makes the experience easy, and we can be effective or by ourselves in finding this information. But the data still shows that guide, that hyper local expert, is still really the center of the transaction beyond the buyer and seller.
Yes, and Tom, let's talk a little bit about our show, our TV show, American Dream TV. This show is all about community, lifestyle, real estate. Yeah. And so in your opinion, how do you see this new role playing into selling and marketing properties in the future?
Well, I think when you ask enough questions to, whether it's your past clients or your friends, your church group, the other soccer moms and dads, however you are, the question I love to ask people is, how is the last 440 days of COVID, the pandemic, lockdowns, social unrest, how has all of this changed how you experience your home and how you view your home? And when you really dig deep with people, you hear so many different things that matter now. So, whether it's how I want my home marketed, hey, I'd like you to sell my house over the phone, and I don't want anybody showing up to the property. We've seen that. We seem to be moving out of it, but we've certainly experienced it. And now you're also seeing just how people view homes, right? I know living along the coast in Orange County, the number of people that maybe were in a smaller property that suddenly said, hey, you know what really matters to me? I need a pool. I need a backyard. I want to touch the water. I want to be near the water. I want to, or they wanted to simplify their life. So it's going to be really interesting as the data comes out, not only just of 2020, but even in the first 4 or 5 months of this year, of how it's altering people's decision-making process. Because if you look at work from home and school from home, hopefully school from home will be normalized much faster. Work from home is going to be different for a while, and that's really going to alter how people view their house.
Yeah, and we've really seen that happening over the last few months. I mean, the demand for larger homes, the demand for homes with pools, amenities, the places where people can work, but also places where people can recreate and spend more time. I think the other thing we've seen people looking for more than ever before is they're not just looking for a home, but they're looking for a community. And the amenities, the neighborhoods that they're buying into have become much, much more important in the search process, I think, than they ever have been before.
I agree. And this goes back to, something that we've all discussed, for a decade, which is, when someone's looking to buy a house today, they're going to do hours and hours and hours of searching. But in my experience, again, working with tens of thousands of agents around the world, not just here in the US, those that sit down with a customer in front of a laptop or a widescreen television and literally broadcast, here's the entire MLS. Let's break down every community. Let's look at walk scores. Let's look at the things that matter most to you and the non-negotiables. You're right. Community, connection, right? Proximity, all these things are coming into play. And you see it more so even with our clients on the East Coast. The person that used to work inside New York City that maybe lived in Manhattan suddenly is buying a place in Greenwich, Connecticut, because they want connection. They want a better tribe. They want a better lifestyle and experience. And if they're only going to have to go to the office 2 to 3 days a week, they'll deal with the train in or the commute in for that 1 day a week or 2 day a week experience to get the home that they really want.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we've seen a lot of that here in Orange County with people from Silicon Valley. A lot of people from San Francisco, Silicon Valley, understanding they can work remotely now and putting themselves in a position where they can own much larger homes. Obviously, a lot more space down here in Orange County than some of the larger cities. And so we've seen influx of a lot of executives from the San Francisco Bay Area. So interesting how those demands change.
We've seen the same.
Tom, it's been a crazy market all over the country these last couple of months, especially here in Orange County. We've got a lot of clients asking us, is this the new normal? What should we expect? What do you think are the market conditions that precipitated this market that we see ourselves in now?
There's a lot of factors, but I think the real question that most people have is, is this going to fall off? Is this going to end? Are we going into another 2007, 8, 9, 10? The answer quite simply is no, right? When you look at the amount of equity that homeowners have, not just in Orange County, because it's like 62% equity was the most recent stat I heard just in Orange County versus across the US where most people that own a home have 50% or more equity. And it's about 39% of all the homes in the US have zero mortgage. So I would just say to everybody that's maybe thinking, hey, you know what, 2007 is right around the corner. I would probably ask them to show me the data. Show me what are you looking at? Who are you reading? What reports are you reading? Because everything we're seeing says it's really good from that standpoint. Now, obviously, there could be a few factors that could disrupt the world, knock on wood. All of us hope that doesn't happen. But most of the people we're talking to, the chief economist at the National Association of Realtors, the ones at Zillow, the ones at even Realtor.com, Housing Wire is an example, they're all saying green light go for at least the next 2.5 up to 3 years in this same environment. The biggest challenge we have is the lack of homes for sale. That's if there was a crisis in our country when it comes to housing, it's that.
Yeah, and we always kind of joke, it takes a village now, Tom, to really produce results in this market. I mean, the simple days of putting a sign on the lawn and waiting for buyers to show up are over. I mean, you have to be masters at marketing, you have to be masters at transactions, you have to have efficient processes, and it really does take a team of people to produce that result. And I think, obviously we've experienced that on our end with our clients, but I think the consumer is just demanding that level of service these days.
I agree. Again, they push a button, magic happen. I can buy something on Amazon really quick. I can go down to Fletcher Jones in Newport Beach and buy a Mercedes in 15 or 20 minutes for $170,000. A lot of consumers are like, why is it so laborious to do a real estate transaction? You look at the data and you look at what people are saying. Consumers post-transaction, they all say the mortgage was, this was a trouble. That was a problem. This I hated, but I loved my real estate agent. Like if it wasn't for the agent, we'd be in trouble.
Yeah, we're kind of the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, making sure everything flows smoothly and works well, and all the pieces get put into place. So,
I can tell, Tom, that when we are in the midst of receiving many offers, and we can easily see the agents that are top agents that know what they are doing by just reading an email or even a text message from that agent. And we always tell our agents from our team to be at that level, professional level, because it does make a difference. When the market is really easy to navigate, we don't see that as much. But in a market like this, that you need professionals, that is very important. And a lot of agents are not necessarily achieving that level of professionalism that I would expect if I was a consumer. So we see that a lot. And with these extremely stressful times for a lot of people trying to figure things out as we go back to our new normal, they do expect professionalism. They expect a very different level. So you're seeing that as well, right? That the consumer is expecting a different level, correct?
Even looking at, my friends, run Zillow, and you look at their customer satisfaction rating on agents, it's 100% that. The interesting thing for any consumer watching this, if you're thinking about hiring someone, what I recommend you do is you Google them. So they have a Google My Business page. When you read it, are there photos of properties that they've sold? Can you read 10, 15, 20, 100, or 300 client experience reviews, the good, the bad, and the ugly? And if not on your Google My Business page, can you see them on Yelp? Can you see them on Zillow? We really live today, if you think about it, in what I would call the review economy, right? We're making decisions fast because I can read from 5 or 6 others, or maybe even watch a video of someone else explaining their experience in working with Helena as an example. And if I resonate with that, that's going to be my choice. So what I would tell every consumer is, before you select that agent, just like before you'd select a doctor, or heck, you're going to go to a restaurant and you're going to go on Yelp to see what are people saying about this place. Make sure you do your homework on the agent. It's really important.
Tom, thank you so much for spending the morning with us here. We really appreciate your insight. As we talked about, you work with tens of thousands of agents all over the world. Yes. You've got a front row seat to one of the most dynamic and interesting industries around right now. And we certainly appreciate the time you've taken to spend with us this morning and provide us with this great information.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, guys. Wish you all the best.
All right.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.